So we're going to get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being part of today's virtual visit as we are on our second visit out of our series today. And I want to go ahead and get started by introducing myself to everyone. Just in case you do not know, my name is Latrell Armstrong. I work with Focus Training, and I will be your tour guide throughout this virtual experience. A little bit quick information about me is that I do have background in and working in at a university after graduating with my bachelor's degree in communications, broadcast communications from the University of Memphis. I moved to Miami, Florida, where I worked as an undergraduate admissions counselor for a private university in Florida. And so my role was literally doing these type of programming, either having students come to the university and I speak with them, me going out to individual institutions and speaking with students, or even being at a college fair and talking to students there. And so I really am excited about being able through focus training to work with Gear Up Maine in introducing these different colleges throughout this experience. And so, what we're going to do for this, I want to first always talk about, and we're going to do this every visit. We want to talk about your expectations. So, this, especially if you were a part of our first or watched our first series, and this you already know about this expectations, but this is your first time with us. We always like to think about expectations. And when we talk about expectations, we talk about those for yourself, others, and us. So for yourself, there's a reason why you are tuned in with us to go through this campus visit. So what expectations do you have for yourself? Would it be to learn about the university that is spotlighted today? Will it be to gain more knowledge, more information about college readiness content? What is going to be your expectations? We also have the expectations for others and expectations for us. And when we talk about us, we're meaning myself. Like I said, I am the moderator, so I'll be kind of taking you through this. What expectation do you have from me on my part? We will have representatives from UMA that are going to be speaking today and sharing some information with all of you. So what expectations do you have for them? What kind of knowledge would you like for them to give you? What information about the institution would you like for them to share? So I always want you all to think about and write down the different expectations you have from this experience. So that way, as we go through and we are hitting those expectations, you can go ahead and check those off. And then also, if there's something that we did not take care of, or if there's something we did not address in your expectations, that's your opportunity to either let us know in the chat or make sure you contact your college access coaches and they will be able to answer those questions or give you the information that you missed out on from this first experience. So, what to expect? So, throughout these experiences, we're going to be visiting virtual colleges, like I mentioned earlier. Another key point and a very important point for you to know is that throughout this experience, every time for every visit, you will be learning some new college readiness content that's going to get you better prepared for current school right now, but also getting you prepared to go on to some form of higher education once you graduate from high school. So just know that while you're going to be visiting and seeing a different college, you also going to be learning some different content as well. The next thing is the materials needed. We always want you to make sure you have something to write with and something to write on because there's going to be a lot of information given to you, and we want to make sure you're able to get all of that information. One additional resource that we're going to be providing for you through your email is what we call a sidekick. Now, the sidekick is a form that's going to have general information about the college that we're spotlighting today. So there's always going to be already going to be a form that has some information for you, but there's also going to be areas where you can take notes in there and put in your notes for that visit, as well as some additional college readiness content. So make sure when you receive those emails to open those emails, include those notes that you're taking today, and make sure you save that because it's really going to be handy and beneficial for you as you start to go back and look over this experience visiting this college. And last but not least, raffle prizes. So at the end of each of our campus visits, we're going to take the students that were a part of the campus visit and those that stayed on throughout the entire experience. We're going to put their name in a raffle and we're going to pull a name for a digital gift card. And so the longer you stay on for the entire time and participate, then you will be eligible for one of those digital gift cards. Now, there's also going to be an opportunity to win a pair of Apple AirPods. So this is going to go for those that have been a part of in the first 5 sessions. We're going to put all your names in there, and then we're going to draw names, and the individual that's name gets called, you will win a pair of Apple AirPods. So not only are you going to be here to learn and gain some information about college readiness, as well as a spotlight college, there's also opportunity for you to win, whether it's a digital gift card or Apple AirPod. And just so you know, that's why it's super important for all of you, the students that are currently on with us right now, to make sure you send in your first and last name, as well as the high school, as well as the school that you're attending. That way, we'll be able to put your name into their raffle drawing. Now, for one of your expectations, I hope it is to gain some resources and connect with some individuals that can help you throughout the process. And if that is on your expectation list, good thing is we already have that addressed, because you all have college access coaches. These are your coaches right here, and their job is to make sure they provide programming, resources, activities, and help in order for you to get the information and things that you need, so you'll be better prepared for college and be successful after high school. And each of these college access coaches are assigned to certain schools. So what we want to do really quickly is make sure we highlight the college access coach in the schools that they will be representing. So right now we have Sue, and as you can see under here, we have the schools that Sue will be representing. I'm going to take a little bit of time to make sure you all can see that. So when your school is highlighted, make sure you write that college access coach name down, because that's going to be your direct college access coach for your school. Our next coach is Mary. Next coach is Dory. We have Brittany. And last but not least, we have Chris. So once again, these are your college access coaches. Hopefully you all saw your school on there and you wrote down your school name. As you go throughout this process, these college access coaches will be contacting you through email and other forms. And so we want to make sure you know their name, so you can definitely respond to them when they email you, and just know that these are going to be the individuals that, if you do have any questions throughout this process through Gear Up, these are the individuals you can contact, and they can be there for you and answer the questions that you have, as well as these are the ones that will be providing those additional resources for you. And so now what we want to do is we want to talk about why you all should be thinking about continue your education after you graduate. And so I want to start off with this illustration here, because I think it kind of sums up the mentality and what people feel as they go through their education. And after I read this, I kind of giggled to myself, because I said, you know what, this is kind of what I thought. And so you start in your preschool, where you feel like, man, this world is extremely large. There's so many things going on in this world, because you're at a young age. Everything seems big to you all. Then you go into grade school, you start to learn the basics. You get into junior high school and high school, and that's when you learn a lot more basics. That's when you start to go more into specific courses. And then you graduate high school. And if any of you, well, adults that are on here, that some of them probably felt the same way I felt. When I graduated high school, I did know in my head, like, I know everything. Like, I am ready for this world. Let's do this. But then when you get out there, whether it's going into college, military, trade school, community college, or even straight into the workforce, you realize that, wow, this world is a lot. There's a lot thrown at you once you walk across the stage as a high school student, because you're technically grown. And so what that means is some of the things on here: voting, picking a major, what career you're going to do, marriage, family, kids, income, paying bills. All these things are thrown at you, and it can be a lot. It can be extremely overwhelming for an 18-year-old or a person fresh out of high school. And so that's why one of the reasons I feel that it is very important for you to continue on through with your education because of certain things. One, enhance your education. That's one thing you should always be striving for, is enhancing your education. No matter how old you are, no matter how many degrees you receive, no matter what career you go into, you always want to continue to learn and grow, because it's just going to make you a better person. It's going to open up more doors. It's going to make you more knowledgeable about the world around you. So you always want to enhance your education and continue on into college. And when I say college, I am meaning community college, trade school, four-year institution, even the military. You're all continue your education and you're learning for a specific area, specific tasks. The next is self-discovery. This is a big one for me. I always tell students that see me traveling around the United States, getting a microphone and talking in front of large groups of large crowd and having an amazing time doing it. I always tell them that that's because this is the Latrell they see now is a Latrell that was awakened in high school. I mean, in college. I'm sorry. In high school, I was not this outgoing. I was not this loud spoken. I was not the person that would stand in front of a crowd and speak. I was somewhat shy. But when I got to college and I started to see it was a bigger world, even in my university that I attended, then I started to actually figure out who I actually am. And I started to break out that shell. And so that's the only reason why I'm able to do the job I do now, is because I was able to discover who I really am. And that was through those times while I was in college. The next one is it says explore, learn, and take chances. All three of those actually helps with the self-discovery portion. Um, when you are in school, you're usually, for the most part, you're in a school that you're told to attend because of more than likely your proximity, the neighborhood that you're in, and how close you are to the school in the zone that you're in. Um, and so you're forced to kind of be at the school with certain people, so you create your own bubble. When you graduate high school and you go into continuing your education, now you're opening up that world to more people. You're able to pick what type of education you want to continue in. So if it's going into the military, that's a choice of yours. If it's a college that you would like to attend, you choose that college. And so that's why it's super important that not only you take advantage of selecting how you want to get your higher education, but once you do that, step outside of your bubble, start to meet people that are different from you, start to take some chances on things. Because here's the thing, going to college or some form of higher education after high school, when you take chances, there's still somewhat of a safety net there. There's still somewhat a safety net. And I can tell you right now, through my years in college, I definitely had a lot of successes, but I also had a lot of failures too. And the great thing about those failures, what happened when I had those failures in college, is that safety net caught me from completely falling, but it was also there for me to learn and say, okay, this is what happens when I do this or do that. And so I was able to learn from those consequences and continue to grow. So then when I graduated college and went into what I consider the real world, when challenges came to me, because you're always going to get challenged, I was better equipped to handle those challenges and not let them completely take over. So those come the things that I learned while I explored, learned, and took chances while in college. And the last thing I want to focus on will be the earning potential. The more education that you receive, formal education, I should say, that you receive, the more you will be able to earn in your income. Now, with this, I like to go straight to the money because I understand people need to know numbers. So there are a couple of graphs I just want to share with you just to prove the fact that the more education, more formal education you receive, more than likely the higher of your earning potential will be. So the graph that you're seeing right now is a graph of the life earnings. Now, once again, life earnings. I can't say that enough. When you see these dollar amounts, think about your entire life. So think about your age now and go all the way up to 80, 90, thinking about your lifespan. So what you see at the very bottom here, which should not be a surprise to many of you, is that if you decide to quit and drop out of high school, then your average earning for your lifetime will be 1.1 million. Now you may go, my goodness, that's a lot of money, but you have to think from the age you are now to about 80 years old, 1.1 million is not a lot of money. It is not. But then you can see how it continues to grow as you continue your education just from getting your high school diploma. You got your associate's degree, which is you receive at a community college. And then you have your bachelor's degree, master's, and your professional degree. Each level of degree that you're learning, the earning potential increases. It's also important to know about the unemployment or the job opportunities as you continue to grow your education. As you can see, starting with dropping out of high school, that is an 8% unemployment rate, 8%. And as you can see, that unemployment rate decreases the more education that you have, formal education that you have. Why is that? Because a lot of jobs are asking for levels of levels of degrees in education in order to get those jobs. And so there are going to be you're going to be more of a valuable candidate to a company if they see that you completed your trade school, if they see you completed your associate's degree from the community college, your bachelor's degree, and continue on, that's going to make you one of those candidates that they're going to look at even more. So that's why a lot more job opportunities are available for those that continue their formal education. And so, next thing I want to do is talk about. We started with the lifetime earnings. Now I want to show you the yearly earnings. The yearly earnings. So this is the average graph of the yearly earnings, depending based on your education. As you can see, now for that lifetime, for that high school dropout, it was a 1.1 million. And I know some of you may still be thinking that's a lot of money, but when you break that down to the yearly, you're looking at roughly $21,000. And that is not a lot to sustain and live and grow a family and do the things that you may want to do in life based off that salary. And no surprise, the graph continues to go up as we are continuing our education. Now, what I want to really focus on this one are a couple of different jumps. You see from the high school graduate, roughly 32,000, to the associate's degree in trade school. You see that goes from 32,000, meaning that they finished high school and they went straight into the job world with no continuing education, and immediately jumps up to around 50 plus $1,000 when you go and get your associate's degree or a trade. Going to a trade school and getting a trade, you see there's a drastic jump there. The next section, which is a really wide range, is when you receive your bachelor's degree. And as you can see, the average is $66,000 up to $91,000. Now, the reason why that is such a large spread is because it all is based on the degree that you decide to go into. It's all based on the degree that you decide to go into. There are some occupations, some careers that with a bachelor's degree, you can go in and you can make have a large income. And there are some that may be a little bit on that, closer to that 66,000. So just wanted to spotlight that. And then, of course, continuing on your education, it grows and increases. So as you can see, students, going to continue your higher education is something extremely important for you because it should not stop at high school. Once again, you're going to grow as a person by continuing your education. You're going to have opportunities to discover yourself. You're going to have chances to explore and do different things outside of your bubble that will completely change your life. And then last but not least, you have the potential to have a better earning lifestyle and provide better and live the kind of life that you probably want to live. So what I would say is, for you, sit down and think about how much money you would like to make a year. How much money would you like to make a year as an adult? And then start to figure out where those careers that line up to that dollar amount. Also, it's great to Continue to talk to people around you, your family, your friends that are adults that are living on their own, and start to ask them realistically, how much does it cost a month for you for groceries? What is the average bill cost for light, electricity, rent? And start taking notice of how much things actually cost, because that will kind of help you decide, where you would like to be on this graph, where as far as salary per year and the type of lifestyle you would like to have. So now at this time, we are going to talk about our school that we are spotlighting today, which is the University of Maine, Augusta. And so before we have two individuals that are going to be speaking with you all today. We have two representatives from the admissions council, from the admissions office, that are going to speak with you today. But before we bring them on, we want to share with you a couple of little fast facts. All right, first we have when it was founded in 1965. Their color is navy and green, and their mascot, Augustus the Moon. I mean the Moose. Goodness, I said the moon. Augustus the Moose. Some other information: we have roughly 5,000 students that attend, average class size being 14 to 1. And these are just some of the popular majors at the university. We have liberal arts, health services, and business. And I'm sure between the two representatives, they will be able to go a little bit more into some of their majors and some of the other popular majors that they do offer, that they do have at the university. Right now, we're looking at the yearly tuition being a little over $8,000. I will suggest for any student that is interested in attending UMA to make sure that each year you go onto their website and look up their yearly tuition, because yearly tuitions can change. They can either go up, or they can go down. But make sure you continue to check that each year, so you will always be up to date on their yearly tuition. The next we see, as far as grants, this is these talking about federal grants, meaning free money to you all as students. On average, they're having 50% of their students receiving some form of federal grants, and 53% of students financial needs met. So it lets you know that they do have a great financial aid program and policy here at UMA. The students are definitely take advantage of. And here we just want to show a little bit of the demographics at the university. These are not all the demographics, but we just want to highlight some there so you can kind of see the demographics of the students. And so at this time, what we were going to do now, I see that we do have our representatives are here and ready to speak with you all. Once again, we have Mr. Jeremy and Nathan. They're representing the Office of Admissions here at UMA, University of Maine at Augusta.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us. I guess I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Nathan Parento. I work in the offices of admissions and financial aid for the University of Maine at Augusta. I'm happy to help with either of those areas, either the admissions side of things or the financial aid, because those gears, pun intended, really do kind of engage with each other. I'm going to hand off to my colleague, Jeremy Bufor.
Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Again, my name is Jeremy Bufor, but I am normally the kind of on-the-road recruitment coordinator out there visiting with everyone in person, but definitely taking a little bit different direction, of course, this semester in our recruiting efforts. So thank you for joining us virtually. We're going to run through kind of presentation of UMA and some basic components and pieces, but really want to give you guys an opportunity to kind of reach out with questions, anything that you want to kind of understand better or wrap your brain around, and go from there. So I'm going to hopefully share screen here, and we'll get going on presentation and open it up for more nitty-gritty stuff that we really want to understand and ask about for UMA. So thank you again for joining us. Like we've said, we've already introduced ourselves and what we do for the university. So no need to continue into that further, but I think the big kind of elephant in the room that everyone is really asking about right now is, what is it like? How are you doing what you're doing? And what are you planning for students if they are coming physically into the campus? So I figured we should launch in and sharing that with you guys right now. So be aware, our fall semester that started at the beginning of September of this year, we did have an opening of physical option for students for classwork, as well as a huge amount of different options for them in different modalities of online, live virtual, a number of different options for them to tap into. I will share with you the majority of the students did on, a precautionary measure, opt to tap into our live virtual and online capabilities. But there are a number of students that still were really looking for that physicality of courses in attendance, and definitely appreciated that that was still an option that was open and available to them. It definitely looked very different, which kind of leads me into kind of the other pieces that we had to implement, to one, stay within CDC guidelines, state guidelines, but then just being precautious for our own students, staff, and faculty. So face covering required. If you are coming into this campus, absolutely required to be on you. Every student is provided to for free. If you were to show up and not have one, every single entrance has the contact number for security on campus, and they will literally run one right over to you so that you can walk in the building with one on. So definitely is absolutely required, but available and accessible for all of our students. Safety enhancements in the buildings and the classrooms. So this is anywhere from, like, you have now sanitizing spread across everything for you to just grab on your hands anywhere you're walking. But at the same time, the size of the classrooms and the spacing of the seating within those classrooms have all been dramatically reduced to give you that social distance and spacing pieces. Dormitory spacing has been dramatically changed in regards to how many students are truly in a space together and so forth. Two different dorm buildings. One does not interact with the other. You're in one, you don't go over to the other one. No interaction between those locations. And in regards to like extracurricular pieces, we still work to try and get something in for our students, but definitely very focused on the virtual side of things. We've done virtual paint nights, game nights. All of our different student organizations have been able to still meet and attend as a group, at least within a virtual setting. So we've still tried to keep things moving forward for students as much as possible. And I would say kind of as close to normal as we possibly can be safely doing it.
I'll just add on campus return that it kind of goes without saying, with everything being as fluid that as it currently is, we are also fluid. So we're making sure that we're adhering to CDC guidelines, also University of Maine system guidelines, which adhere strictly to CDC guidelines. And we have multiple committees on campus that are all actively engaged with this process. So as things were to change, whether it be in a more restrictive way or a less restrictive way, we're going to be able to adapt accordingly in real time. We have put quite a lot of thought into a safe return, as well as what multiple phases of said return is going to look like. So this is very accurate to where we currently are, but we are not only projecting what the rest of this semester is going to look like, but what future semesters are going to look like and how things may change in the meantime between now and then. Continue to check back in with us, and admissions is usually a good one-stop shop for some of that information, because we get a lot of those types of questions and answer them pretty readily. So if something were to come up regarding COVID and you're wondering how UMA is kind of handling it, please don't hesitate to reach out to our admissions office. We would be happy to get you that answer if we don't already have it.
Definitely. We like to chat, so feel free, reach out, give us a call.
We're social. Like we're in a social industry, and I'll speak for Jeremy because Jeremy and I work together quite a bit. We're both very social, so this has been hard for us to transition to mostly virtual, but really happy to have opportunities like this to be able to still engage with people, because we are so social that it feels like we're losing a part of ourselves with not having our traditional recruiting season this fall.
Absolutely. Which leads me down like what I would normally be doing in a social aspect and out there on the road with people and meeting you where you are. I'd be going through what you need to do for your application process in regards to a degree program you might be targeting with our college. This is a little bit simplified, so some of them do have a little bit more complexity to them, but again, reach out to us. We will gladly guide anyone and everyone through whatever process, whatever program they're targeting. But the baseline, file the application for us. You could do the common application. You can do the University of Maine System College application, which is used by all 7 of the University of Maine campuses in the state of Maine, or you could be doing our individual University of Maine at Augusta specific application as well. In regards to additional documentation, so would love the full high school transcripts, but at the same time, if you're a transfer student, might not have readily available, copy of the diploma, copy of the GED, if you closed it out with a high set test. All of these are equal in our eyes. Really looking for just a copy that truly shows that completion date. Logging that completion date is the primary. Big thing I do encounter for high school students is if they have tapped into a local community college or university within their home state, Maine or otherwise, they've now, in essence, if they're taking college level classes during high school years, they now have a college transcript. Whatever college it went through, it takes the student to request the release of it. Can't be done by the high school, can't be done by the college that they're applying to. Truly is the student that needs to request that to be released. If we catch it after the fact, it creates a much longer admissions process and possibly could have gotten registered for classes that would have naturally been closed out with those transfer credits. So might have even caused them to take a course that was not even needed. So really wanted to emphasize that coming up front. Lastly, regarding extra pieces like letters of recommendation, essay, for the majority of our programs, not required, but some do have that. But again, if they would like to include it, like on the Common App, it's kind of a whole package deal, everything uploaded and cemented as one, totally fine. It does get looked at. We would be glad to have that info, but not required. New addition, as of like last week, we can proceed in an admissions review without any SAT or ACT scores, not required to be logged in regards to the admissions process. So we can proceed without even having those in place. Definitely understand that a number of students have had some difficulty in regards to being able to test for those right now. So regarding different degree programs, the majority of our programs have what is referred to as a rolling admissions, allowing us to be able to admit a student at kind of any one of the start point semesters throughout the year. There are certain programs that are competitive that have a specific deadline. So a good majority of the ones that you're seeing listed under competitive, January 31st of the year that you graduate. So if you were graduating, 2021, January 31st of 2021, not only your application to us, but your high school transcripts, your college transcripts, if you touched anything in there, all of those documents logged and in this office before that January 31st date. Regarding architecture, it is unique. Their application deadline is February 15th. So they give you an extra half a month to get everything in by, but the majority rule of thumb, if you can do January 31st, I'd like January 1 at the latest, really helps make sure that you stay on track in regards to timing. So I'm going to turn it over to Nate to talk a little bit about our footprint for you.
Absolutely. I am just going to, because I saw the chat come in, and so in real time, I can throw this back to Brittany. So Brittany, you asked a question about ACT and SAT scores in regards to merit scholarships at UMA. So if we're looking at a high school student for a merit scholarship, we're looking predominantly at the high school GPA, and we're not looking at the standardized test score to determine that. So we would be more so looking at how you were holistically, or if you are the student or whomever the student was, we'd be looking at you as a holistic student, your GPA throughout your high school career, and not specifically how you scored on one of the standardized test scores on one or multiple test dates. So it's not to say that the SAT or the ACT doesn't measure anything, but we're looking at a larger scope of you as a student in terms of when we're assessing our merit scholarships. So it would not come into play for specifically an SAT score and ACT score would not come into play for a merit scholarship. It wouldn't be the reason that you would get one or not get one. So just segue to locations, and I'll come back to chat as well. So UMA is a two campus University. We're the University of Maine at Augusta. So as you can imagine, we have a campus in Augusta. That's our main campus. We also have a campus a little bit up 95 in Bangor. It's the UMA Bangor campus. A couple of our programs are exclusively there for their program pieces. That would be our vet tech program, our dental hygiene program. Dental assisting is there as well, but dental assisting is going to be offered in the future at our Lewiston Center, which is a good segue into the difference between a campus and a center. So our two campuses are Augusta and Bangor, and then we have things that we call centers out there in the state that are spread pretty strategically from south to north, southernmost being in Saco, northernmost being in Holton. And you can think of a center being kind of a one-stop shop for almost all things UMA. The majority of our programs could be accessed and completed entirely from a center if a student so chose to do so. And centers can be seen on the map that you're seeing here with the crests or the shields that are spread throughout the state. Those are all UMA. Those are all UMA centers that are spread. So again, that has academic advising on site. There are on-site classes that are offered there. There's often tutoring and other support services that are offered close to home for students. So maybe coming to the big campus isn't the best fit for you, but a smaller learning community is a better fit. Oftentimes centers are a good mix, or sometimes students do a day at the center that's closest to home and a couple days a week in Augusta or Bangor to get the campus experience as well. It's important to stress that all of the locations that you're seeing on this map are specific to UMA. So UMA is part of the University of Maine system, and there are multiple schools within the University of Maine system that University of Maine Augusta is just one of those schools. So you can think of us as kind of siblings more than, because we're independent institutions that are all under one university umbrella, if you will. So the University of Maine at Farmington and the University of Maine Augusta are two different institutions, but we do share documentation with each other. We work together on many different initiatives. We work well together, but we are completely separate. So what you're seeing are specific to UMA. So we have two campuses, we have centers throughout the state, and then where you're seeing a little star blast, we call that a site. So that's oftentimes an area adult ed or a high school that's a receive site for UMA. So you can receive some course content at a location that's close to you, but on those star blasts, you wouldn't have the same support that you would have at a center or at a campus. So there wouldn't be academic advising on site for one of those locations. There likely wouldn't be UMA facilitated tutoring at those locations. But that said, they are locations that UMA course content can be accessed from if a student so chose to or desired to. Which moves into a question of modality. So like, how can you take classes at UMA? Being that we're spread so vastly throughout the state, we have to offer classes in a few different ways and modalities in order for students to engage with us. We do offer the traditional in-person classroom session that you think about when you think about college, or maybe what you've experienced while you're in high school, with a physical classroom, a teacher or professor and instructor standing in front of you, delivering a hopefully really energetic and engaging lecture. And then you are the students that are sitting in the classroom that are kind of absorbing the information and engaging in that way. We absolutely offer classes just like that. We also offer online classes that are oftentimes asynchronous, meaning you may have an assignment that's due on this date at this time, but when you complete the coursework is essentially maybe up to you, as long as you're adhering to the guidelines of the course as proposed by the instructor. But you're doing all of your work in a completely online modality. Also, not specific to now, but has become a common modality in this current time of COVID, there's an online in real time modality. So that's kind of bridging the first two options, where you have the real time component of an in-person classroom, but all of the students and faculty, for that matter, are all engaging in an online type modality, whether it be Zoom or another type of platform. But you're actually, if your class is at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, everybody is getting in at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday because that's your class time. So that would be an online and real-time modality. We also offer delayed viewing. So that's really popular at some of our centers, as well as some of those Star Blast sites that we saw on the previous slide. So delayed viewing, I keep saying in each presentation, Jeremy's probably getting tired of hearing me say it, I'm going to come up with a different analogy for this, but I keep calling it Netflix for college, and here's why. It gives you the ability to watch a recorded lecture or class that actually physically happened at a UMA location, but you're watching it at a time later. So it's been recorded, it's been uploaded onto a learning management platform, and you're able to engage with it when it works for you. You can start it, stop it, pause it, go back 10 seconds. What was that note that I needed to get for the midterm? Whatever it may be. But it gives you that ability to start and stop. If you have a busy life and you need to walk the dogs, you can stop it and walk the dogs and come back and get right back into your class like you had never even left. This also is desirable for some students that whether it be sometimes maybe a student has a learning disability, other times a student just needs the ability to watch a lecture the second time to get the information that maybe they missed the first time. It gives that ability, those recorded lectures and classes stay uploaded for future viewing as well. So it can come into play for studying as well as just retention of the information if it's a really dense course. So delayed view is a great component for lots of students, especially now and otherwise. Last but not least is interactive television. It's again a hybrid type model. Oftentimes interactive television will take place at our centers. We have a smart classroom set up, for lack of a better term, where you would go to the center. There is a broadcast in the classroom of a physical class that is happening in real time, and you have a phone in the classroom and the ability to call an aide and ask questions in time. You are a member of said class wherever it is, even though you are physically in a different location than that class is taking place. But interactive television and delayed viewing are kind of two sides of the same coin. You're either engaged in the actual class time and you're watching through interactive television, or you're in the delayed view session of that class and you're watching it after it has been uploaded later on after the class session has ended.
So leading us into our next section is regarding our dorm option for students. So this is new to UMA as of fall of 2019. We added in a dorm option, and basically we opened it up small at first. We had capacity to field about 40 students to house on campus. Over that first year, it was so successful, and we filled it to capacity and had a wait list even for it. We proceeded with renovating our second building, which doubled the capacity. So we have a little bit over 80 student capacity for dorm option on campus. Definitely different than someone's traditional dorm experience. If any one of you out there have had a past dorm experience like I have, ours is extremely different in regards to. My tradition was kind of a square room, 2 beds, 2 desks, 2 bureaus. There you go. That's your room. Big giant locker room down the hallway for your bathroom. UMA's dorms are much more of an apartment style, I would say. So there are single occupancy, double, triple, and quadruple occupancy. But whether or not you're a 1, 2, 3, or 4 person occupancy, the kind of layout is very similar. You walk in the door and every room has its own bathroom in it. So you have a sink, a shower, and a toilet, and pretty good towel storage space, I have to say. You also have kind of a common space. But then in turn, attached to that common space, you actually have a whole kitchen space. So you have a full-size fridge, not a little dorm fridge, a full-size fridge, full stove, and oven in it, and also microwave, full kitchen sink, and a pretty good sized counter space, I have to say. I probably would have killed for it if I was in this type situation again where I needed a dorm. And then you have your own close-off bedroom. So if you're a single, you still have a close-off bedroom space. Double, you both have your own close-off bedroom space, lockable as well. So even in that quadruple capacity, it allows the students to still have a little bit of privacy. Now, spacing is a little different during COVID protocols right now. So less capacity in regards to the dorm option. And some of the rooms have been kept completely vacant so that we do have isolation procedure space to be used if needed. So far, knock on wood, we're good so far. So I will take that little momentary piece there. But on-site resident manager that lives there 24 hours a day. You also have student RAs that are living on site with students in the dorm as well. They try and do a lot of different monthly programming, games, activities, so forth. Be aware that our dorm is not directly on campus. It is about 5 miles off campus. It's located in Hollowell, Maine, literally just over the Augusta line. We do not restrict our freshman students from having their vehicle. So you are allowed to have your vehicle with you from day one, freshman year. No parking permit is required. We also offer a shuttle service that is free to students back and forth throughout the day. And then there is public transportation that our students can ride for free, but it is on a schedule in regards to the public transportation. So that's why we opted to add in the shuttle service as well. Which leads me into kind of like what would be a typical kind of start off first semester for students, or kind of first year for even students. So very commonly, very first semester, we usually start fall sequence as the traditional start point for most high school students. And we would be recommending, something like your first freshman English 101 class, something in like your intro to computer class area, in the social science area, a course in that area, maybe psychology, sociology, depends on degree program for minor fluctuations. And then lastly, if you were to tell me, I want to be an art major, I want to be a business major, then I want you taking your very first art class and your very first business class, because I want you to know if it's the right fit for you. Because if it's not, this is when we make the change right now. We don't make it 2 years, 1 year from now. With your first semester, if it's not the right fit for you, that's the time you make the call to make a change. Moving into next semester, we're optimistic about the weather. We call it spring. I know it's our primary winter months, but we're optimistic. We like to think of it as spring already. We would be proceeding with like a lab science class, a communications requirement for degree program. Usually there's 2 to 3 English courses that are required for a sequence in a degree program. We're usually going after the next second one because honestly, you need to strengthen your writing capabilities at the college level. It's going to make you more successful in all of your degree program classes that are required for you. So we like to keep that kind of continuity moving on your writing capabilities. And then we want to proceed with the second class if we can, or if we opted to change our major at that point, we want to snag the first class in the new degree program so that we can start making sure that that is the right pathway for us. Now, we've talked a little bit about maybe a student tapping into like something like AP courses during junior, senior year of high school. There are also different programs, depending on the state you might be in, where you're tapping into a local community college, one of the state university colleges, or maybe even a private college near you, where you're actually doing college level material as a high school student. Be aware that that is, again, producing a college level transcript that now needs to be released for us. But at the same time, those transfer credits coming in might change this game plan just a little bit. We might eliminate that English class and move to the second one on your first semester instead. So it will fluctuate that, but we're fine with that. We'll work with you in regards to planning that out and making sure that we don't have you be doing something that you've already done in essence during your junior, senior year if you did college level material AP courses. Which leads me to hand over to Nate, the very vital piece that I really want to make sure you guys know about.
So this is going to be incredibly overarching and very basic because we could, as I'm sure you've known through going through this process, the financial component can be the heavy piece, and we could do a whole session on just paying for college or multiple sessions on paying for college. So for the sake of time and this type of session, we'll keep it relatively broad, but please know that anybody can reach out to me directly with any specific financial aid questions, or if it's specific to you and your individual scenario. I'm happy to walk through what it may look like for an individual family given an individual circumstance. But first and foremost, I can't stress enough, please file your FAFSA. Whether or not you come to UMA or another school, wherever you go, please file your FAFSA. Maine students leave millions of dollars on the table each and every year, and the vast majority of that is gift aid. So free money, not loans, money that you do not have to pay back, that is available to you and your family to help pay for your education. The very first step that I would encourage every student to do is to fill out their FAFSA. A shameless or shameful, either way, plug for the FAFSA. I promise I'm not paid by Department of Ed funds. But the application for next aid year, the 2021-2022 aid year, which depending on which school you're going to, may start this next summer or this next fall. It depends on if your school is a leading school or a trailing school. UMA is a leading school. So this coming summer would be that aid year. That application just opened on October 1st. So if you are a current senior and you're thinking about going to college next fall, which I hope you are, I would encourage you and your family to engage with the FAFSA soon if you haven't already. We have a priority deadline of early March, and that there is some money that if you don't apply by then, you may not be able to tap into some of those pools that you may have otherwise been eligible for. But financial aid is an area where the saying, the early bird gets the worm, that is the case in financial aid. Oftentimes, once a funding pool has been exhausted, that funding pool is exhausted for that year. And unfortunately, the eligible students that were early enough to get into it were able to do so. If you were applying to UMA, our school code is 006760. You can apply to you can apply for the FAFSA and send it to multiple schools all at once. And if you decide that you don't want to go to a school and you want to delete or erase one of the schools, you can go back into an active FAFSA application and adjust the schools that you're sending them to as well. I would encourage you to look for outside scholarships. Sometimes your high school or your town or chamber of commerce, or you have to seek it out. There aren't always people that are knocking down your door looking to give you money, but there's often money out there that is accessible to the people that are seeking it out. So look for outside scholarships that are maybe available to you through your work, your parents' work. Lots of different endeavors that you can seek out additional funding, but it's important to look for that outside of the university funding as well, just to maybe pad your aid package. Fame of Maine has some great resources. They also have a Maine scholarship search, so I would encourage folks and families to engage with some of the resources at Fame of Maine. If needed, you can look into Parent Plus loans. So generally speaking, student loans are in the student's name, with the exception of a Parent Plus loan for a dependent student. That's for if a student needs a little bit more funding to help pay for the dorm room or pay for X, Y, or Z. Qualified parents can take out a loan in their name as well to help pay for a student's education. If you are rejected for said Parent Plus loan, let our office or another financial aid office, if you're attending another school, let them know that you were rejected for a Parent Plus loan, because after a rejection, we are sometimes able to assess if a student is able to receive other loan funding, specifically unsubsidized loan funding. Sometimes we can bump that amount up if a direct plus loan was requested or applied for and not received. You can also look for alternative loans through your credit union or bank. These would be secondary to some of the other previous options, because the interest rates would likely be less in the favor of the student. Interest rates right now are very competitive for student loans. I'm jealous of the interest rates that are current for student loans, but that said, they are still loans. It is interest that you would have to pay back. Credit unions or banks generally speaking, have a little bit less competitive of interest rates than the federal government currently does. And then last but not least, if you are a military family, you may be able to access some benefits, whether the student themselves is actively engaged in some kind of military either deployment or reserve or what have you, or if their family is using dependent benefits as well. So seek out not just what your financial aid package may include from the school, but also what may be available in your community or what may be available to you just as an individual person in your life. So it gives me a segue into, like, UMA really prides itself in that there's a scholarship for almost everybody. And the first two here are a great example of that. So the aspects that you see there for the Pine Tree State Pledge and for the UMA 10K grant, you must file a FAFSA to be eligible for either of these. But in filing the FAFSA, you're going to be eligible for one of them. So it's contingent on something that's called the Pell Grant. So when you fill out the FAFSA, you'll find out on your SAR, your student aid report, if you're eligible for the federal Pell Grant or not. If you are eligible for the Pell Grant, you're a Pine Tree State Pledge student. What is the Pine Tree State Pledge? Pine Tree State Pledge is a tuition guarantee. So if a student receives the Pell Grant, comes to us full-time out of high school, we'll take the Pell Grant and any other grant and scholarship money that they have available, free money, if you will. And if there is a mandatory fee and tuition balance after that has applied, we will wipe away the rest and the student will come to UMA tuition free. There is a slight caveat there that if you are in a lab science class that has a $20 fee for some dissection that you're doing, you may have to foot the bill for that $20 fee, but any mandatory fee or the tuition for the course itself would be completely covered for that student. The goal for the Pine Tree State Pledge is to limit or eliminate the need for loans of an undergraduate education for a student. So again, grant and scholarship money is applied, Pine Tree State Pledge comes in and wipes away the rest. That amount can vary. It can be different from student to student. It can be a couple $100, which makes the whole world of difference. Or if a student is only eligible for partial of a Pell Grant, still in play, it could be a couple $1,000s that the Pine Tree State Pledge is coming in and wiping away the rest. If you fill out the FAFSA and you find out, oh shucks, I'm not Pell eligible and I can't get the Pine Tree State Pledge, then you are automatically in the UMA 10K grant pool. And that's $10,000 over the course of a 4-year education with UMA. You have to be a full-time student with us. We'll give you $2,000 in your first semester. Your first year, $1,000 in the first semester, $1,000 in the second semester, $2,000 split the same way in your second year. And then we bump it up in your junior and senior year to a $3,000 per 8 year, which you're getting $1,500 per semester. So every student will get one of these scholarships. It just is dependent on, when you fill out the FAFSA, which pocket you fall into. $10,000 for the course of 4 years makes a pretty big in itself. Also, if you are an early college student, Jeremy mentioned early college, maybe you're attending another school, but maybe you're attending early college with us. Maybe you've already attended a college writing class or intro to psych or what have you. If you've been a UMA student while you were a high school student and you were engaged in whatever high school aspirations, bridge year, dual enrollment, whatever it was called in the variety that you were engaged, we'll give you an early college scholarship. And I believe that is $2,000 or $3,000 per 8 year as well. That I actually think it's the $3,000 per 8 year. That is, thanks, Jeremy. I'm 99% sure, but I just needed Jeremy's confidence to help bring me to the 100%. So that's $3,000 an 8 year as well. That if you are engaged with UMA through early college, I would encourage you to reach out to our early college office if you're a junior or senior and you have some flexibility in your schedule, because there is a likelihood, especially if you are attending a public high school in the state of Maine, that you can likely take a course with us for little to no cost. and get started on the high school, on your college career while still in high school. Last but not least, we have both general scholarships. We have a general scholarship application that opens each spring for the next fall. And then we would encourage you to seek out any other additional external and third-party scholarships that you may be eligible for, just to increase the amount of aid that you have available to you to help pay for your education. But again, filing the FAFSA, I can't stress it enough, is one of the most important pieces that please take away from anything from Nate. One is UMA is great, and second is please file your FAFSA.
So sorry about my random clicking. I'm working on 3 different screens, so it's very interesting making sure that I'm clicking on the right one at the right time here. So fast but furious, what should you be working on next? So number 1, file your application, whether it's the Common App, the System app, the UMA app. It's kind of the initiating piece for us to start communicating with you of what else do we need for documents specific to the degree program that you've indicated on that application. We start tailoring that communication so that we keep you on the right pathway and being efficient and being able to give you an answer sooner than later in regards to MIN. Definitely what you kind of want to know in regards to a college, which I encourage you, look at that college. We at least can offer you a physical tour, a live virtual tour where we literally log you in on a tablet in a Zoom session, and we're going to go walk around and look at the whole place right now. But then we also have a lot of recorded options in regards to tours of the campus that you can take a look at as well, dorms as well. But really take a look at any campus you're applying to if you can, one way or another, virtually, physically if you can. But see if it's the right fit, see if it's the right feel for you. Cannot emphasize this enough. I'm going to literally be echoing Nate here nonstop here, but FAFSA is important. You're not agreeing to anything yet. You're just seeing what's available to you. It's not going to hurt to see what's available to you. It's amazing how many options are out there for students, and that if they never file it, they don't even know about it. Information release form. So just about every college out there, they're going to maybe call it a little bit different, but very commonly we encounter parents wanting to call in and interact with us on the student's behalf. Maybe they're checking on the status of the application, want to make a payment on a class, or do any other 100 other things that need to be done. And a student might not have the time because they're still going to high school, juggling their classes, doing their sports, doing a part-time job, and they don't have the time to pick up the phone and ask admissions a question, but mom does or dad does. There comes a point in your application process where unless you have authorized us to speak to someone else that you have listed, we will not. We will be protecting you and your information as the applicant to the university. So I encourage you, if you are my high school type student, fill the form out, please. It really is going to make a huge difference for you moving forward. If you were a transfer student that's a little more adult age, might not be coming into play in regards to your parents, but maybe a spouse or a significant other that you want to be able to interact on your behalf, okay? Activate your student accounts with us. Like the moment you file your application, you could technically activate your student accounts. You don't need to be admitted. And there's a lot of interaction that you have for finding out, what do I need to do? Where should I be going? Where do I need to send this info? That is all mapped out on your accounts with us. And if you need help, reach out to admissions. We will literally guide you and walk you right through it. No problem. Really can't emphasize enough, new student orientation. Normally we'd like you to come here in person and we do it physically in person, but we've had a huge population of online students for decades. So long ago, we built an online student orientation. We are definitely tapping into it very commonly right now for just social distancing protocol pieces. Really comprehensive, really will guide you well at getting going as a student here at the University of Maine at Augusta. And then last but not least, course registration. You could potentially be working with some of us in admissions or another department on campus, our academic advising office. If you're at the centers, you may be working with a student success coordinator. All of these individuals are capable of working with you and helping you plan out your semester schedules. Moving into another aspect, you may encounter some of our student workers. Specifically, they're called our student ambassadors in the admissions office. They do a lot of engagement with applicants along the way with us. Be aware, I would encourage you, if you want to be involved and active on the campus, consideration for you as a part-time job as an active college student. But most of all, reach out. Let us know if something is a question, a concern, if you're getting stuck or tripped up on something. Reach out. Don't be shy. We like the interaction. We're missing it. So please give us a call. Give us an email. We have a number of different ways for you to coordinate and connect with us. We could even do live Zoom sessions and allowing you to see our availability in regards to picking an exact day and time that works for your schedule too. So lots of different ways for us to connect. But I want to open it up for Q&A for you guys. I know that I did see some questions come through in the chat, and Latrell is coordinating that for us. But if you're up for it, I'll address a couple of the first ones that I've already seen right now that I saw posted. So regarding TRIO and SSS, which stands for Student Support Services, both the Augusta section of our campus and the Bangor section of our campus have these facilities available for students to meet with individuals directly one-on-one. TRIO is an amazing program that does a great job at reinforcing a student academically, and I would even say a little bit socially, I would say, but there is some qualifiers in regards to the TRIO program. So I do encourage you, look at it. If you hit those qualifiers, absolutely become part of it. You will only be more successful as a student. This is not something that negatively impacts you in any way whatsoever in regards to transcripts, looking at job placement after graduation. It is literally just going to make you more successful and more likely to be successful at passing your individual classes each semester. For student success services or support services, this could be in regards to very common at like the high school level. I encounter a student that might have had what is called an IEP in place, or some type of learning plan in place for the high school, maybe junior high levels. Be aware when you move into the college level, these types of pieces are not the same at the college level. We can't modify curriculum that's being taught to you in a college level degree program, but there are different pieces that can be changed and manipulated to help benefit you better. So an example of this is no, we can't get you out of the test, and we can't change anything on the test, but maybe you might do better in a room by yourself, in a quiet environment. Or maybe you need a little bit longer of a time so that you can make it through and really think through each one of those questions in a little bit different environment that way. I had one student that was a little bit, seeing impaired, not full blind, but just had difficulty. And we literally just needed the exam to have blown up text, like big text for her to be able to see. So number of different options that can be changed and modified in different classes with you. But it really is something that you need to start within the application process to make us aware of it so that we can start getting you connected to the correct individuals to have that conversation even before you've made your first class selection, so that we can start really making sure that that's mapped out as best and as detailed as possible for you. I did see Dory comment about just emphasize again, if you might be considering any of our dental programs or our veterinary technician program, please be aware that those programs are primarily based for their coursework out of the Bangor half of our campus, not the Augusta half. So it definitely changes a little bit dynamic. You could start in Augusta, you could do dorm in Augusta, could maybe do about 2 years worth of classes or so, but there's definitely like at least 2 years worth of classes where you're definitely going to need to be attending out of that Bangor campus. You could still be down here and commuting back and forth, could be doing an off-campus apartment situation up there, number of different options that you could be looking at and considering for that. Other questions anyone has? I hadn't seen any others come through, but feel free. Maybe Latrell, they might have messaged you privately.
Yeah, so I have some questions here, and what I've done with questions is that I kind of separate them in different sections, so that we kind of stay in one area for each question, unless another one pops up, and then we'll make sure we address those. So I have a good list of questions. I'm going to start with the housing questions first. There's just I think about two questions. One, knowing that it is a different, and thank you for explaining the layout for housing, because that took care of actually three additional questions from your layout. But forgive me if you mentioned is there a meal plan select option when you have housing, since they do have a full kitchen?
Yes, they can do a meal plan or they can opt not to. Totally optional either way.
All right. And the next question, being that it's roughly 80 students or a little bit more possibly that can get housing, is there any preferential treatment as far as who gets those, freshmen or upperclassmen, anything in that nature?
Excellent question. So it's a competitive selection process for the dorm. If we are having or hosting any international students, they do have a little bit of a priority, of course, because they do need to have a housing situation.
Mm-hmm.
And there are two degree programs that usually pull a lot of out-of-state interest: our architectural degree program, our Bachelor of Architecture, and our Bachelor of Aviation degree program that are unique to UMA in the state of Maine. Because these pull so much interest from out-of-state students, if we have any coming in, they do have a little bit of priority in the selection process. But from there, it is literally a competitive process. Other than those two categories, we have in-state students that are selected for the dorm. We have out-of-state students that get selected. Age range variations, you name it. But I will say it's a comprehensive application that you fill out when it comes to the dorm. We ask a lot of questions because we want to make sure that we're pairing up the right people together. Because if you're one that likes to cook spicy food that has a lot of smell to it, and you do not want to be paired up with someone that does not like spicy food. So we want to make sure things like that mesh for our students in the dorm.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all the questions I have for housing. And there was only one question that I have for student life, and that is, where would someone go if they want to get involved in any of the clubs or organizations on campus? Where would they go to find those?
So one, our student life office, phenomenal in regards to reaching out for something like this. So one, they put on their own pieces as well. They could be doing a paint night, or they could be hosting a social in regards to, right now, virtual social, but might have been physical social as well. But they do a lot of different activities. They've done Habitat for Humanity trips, service learning trips. They've done just fun trips down to, Boston Red Sox game for the day. Ski passes for the season for students. So they do a lot of pieces like that, but then you're going to find different individual student organizations that have already been started up. Chess club, maybe you're possibly wanting to tap into, I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head and I'm blanking on their name right now, but they may be more individual reach out for you to engage directly with the group and not have to go through the student life office. But if by chance there was an organization or type of group environment that you wanted to start that we hadn't had already running on campus, definitely connect with Student Life. They'll coordinate with you in making sure you're doing all the right pieces to be able to start a club or organization. But we've had a number of students consider or actually proceed in starting up brand new clubs for us. One that was recently being looked at was esports for a club being started up. And I am like, hands down, sign me up, like ready for it. Let's go. I wanted to be a fully funded like sports team at this point, but we're not quite there yet. But I would love to see the students really pull together a club and organization on this and like launch it themselves, and then have us be like, so do you want to become a sport here? Yeah. So I really encourage you guys, reach out. Don't be shy about asking questions and wanting to engage with any offices on campus. If you just wanted to learn how to do office work, feel free to walk in and have a conversation with us. We would be glad to put you to work in an office environment. Not a problem. Plenty of work here for you to do. I guarantee it.
I'll piggyback on Jeremy there and say UMA is kind of this great mix in that we're not incredibly large, but we're not incredibly small either. So if we don't have something that a student is really interested in or is passionate about, we often have the resources to build something like that with the student's interest in mind, and give them the ability to kind of build that club and see what the interest may be out there. So we're small enough that a student can have that type of influence, but we're also big enough that there are some resources to be able to actually do something with it too. So I would say that there's a happy medium there. And that's why fit is so important when it comes to college, is you want to go to the place that feels right for you. And for some students, that's the biggest college they can find. For some, it's the smallest. And for others, it's like that kind of Goldilocks. It's the one that's just right. So yeah, student life is one of those things that highly encourage any student to engage any way that they possibly can, whether it be with us or someone else. Just make your college is kind of the advice that I would give. You are a integral part of the college that you are attending, and you should try to influence it and shape it in a way that would be better for not only you as a student, but for all students as a whole.
Nice. All right. And so what I'm going to do now, we're going to move up to admissions. Now, you all definitely did a great job. And once again, knocking down a lot of the questions that we had for admissions. So this is going to make that a little bit, the number of questions shorter, which is actually really great. That says something good about you guys, that we don't have a lot of questions, because you really did every question I had. I was like, well, they took care of that. They took care of that. And so the first one is, and sorry if you gave some of this information and already, but I know and thankful that the test is optional now. The test scores are optional. But do you have an average GPA for students, or average GPA requirement that you feel has been for incoming class?
Regarding general admissibility, so like, do you meet the baseline that every single applicant coming into us needs to meet? Minimum 2.0 GPA, so 2.0. But some of the competitive programs might require a little bit stronger of a GPA component. So my standard rule of thumb is, if you're going after the competitives, a 3.0 or higher is a good standard rule of thumb, I have to say. I would encourage you, stronger is better, because it literally is kind of a ranking process sometimes. And sometimes that GPA is the deciding factor. And the closer you are to a 4.0, the more likely you are to be selected in that competitive process. So I really encourage any students that are going after the competitive programs that are listed underneath our college, stronger, better. Protect that GPA. So freshman year right now, you literally have 4 years in front of you. You need to protect it all 4 years. But if you're a senior right now, 3 years are set in stone. They are what they are. You can't change them. You better make sure that your last year is super strong no matter what.
Nice. And in the process, I know you mentioned the Common App. And I know in the Common App, they do have essays. So this is a two-part or possibly three-part question. Is the essay a part of the application, even though it's in the Common App? And I hear you say nod your head, so they say yes. So then it goes to the next question, kind of.
So let me just quickly address it. So
Yeah.
if you're doing the Common App, it requires you to upload it. You have to. So please just do it. It's totally fine. But essay is not required for the University of Maine at Augusta. We do not require an essay in the application process. If you were to do the system application or the UMA specific application, not even listed on it. I think there is maybe one degree program where it might come into play after your admissions process, where more faculty want to kind of get a gauge of, what's your career direction? What do you want to do? So, and that helps them kind of map that out for them.
Great, great. And one more question with the transcripts. I know that as admissions counselor, you're going to, like you mentioned, you look at all 4 years, starting their ninth grade year in high school. So saying that, I know that we teach students that if there's any dip in your GPA or anything of that nature, make sure you address that in your application process through a letter, email, anything of that nature. But is it safe to say at your institution that this year, with what's going on and students switching over to virtual, that you're already going in and with an understanding that there could possibly be a little bit of a dip, and for this year at least?
Absolutely. We've had many discussions about this. We definitely realize, one, the change of modality for everybody, but I also feel that there is a layer of like various stress levels that are all encompassing us right now. So we definitely completely understand. And that's like reinforcing what Nate said, whole person concept, really looking at the whole person, not just one single little factor that is the set all and determination.
Nice. And I just want to say for students, that does not mean you get to slack off for the year. So that's just saying that they will.
That we're essay optional. If a student were to submit one, it would be read. So it's not as if we're like, oh, the student X submitted an essay. Gosh, let's put it in. It actually helps us to understand a student in that more holistic way, and that's not just their grades. It's not just the application data. But if a student is comfortable with writing, they feel like that is a way that they can put their best foot forward, but whether it be for our institution or another. I would never tell a student to not write an essay if they feel like that would help to explain or fill in the gaps. And as you said, maybe 10th grade year was a really tough year for me for a few different reasons, and I don't need to give you all the reasons that happened, all the things that happened in my life, but I've changed gears, or things have happened in a more positive way for me, and that's why things have looked up in my 11th and 12th grade year. That'd be a great non-required essay, but would help us to see and understand that student a little bit better. And I can't say it would give the student the edge, but it wouldn't hurt to the student in any way to give us a little bit more information in a qualitative kind of way.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And this question has to do with college campus visits. And I know that you spoke about those options. And did you mention, or do you all have an option for students to shadow college students? Let's say back, I know virtually is different, but when things before this time and probably in the future, is that something that students can do?
So it's something that we really try and coordinate one-on-one. It's a matter of, did anyone reach out and ask for it? If so, what degree program? So that we can then coordinate working with one of the faculty members within that program. Definitely is dictated based on the program. So if you were giving me something like nursing or dental, and you're like, I want to see the physical hands-on part of it, little bit different scenario that has to play out in regards to pieces like that. But something like sitting on an English class or an intro to psychology class, very common. Glad to work on setting something like that up. I would encourage you to be careful if you hear anything of the words of audit a class. Totally different type of sitting in on a class. You just want to literally see a single class, see what it's like, connect with us. We'll get it squared away with you. Not a problem.
Great. And I just want to be clear with that. It's not an option on the website to select that. That's something the students need to request.
Correct.
All right, great. You hear that, students. And then just two more questions. And the next one is talking about just security on campus. If you can talk about, what procedures your campus has in place to keep it safe.
So again, social distancing, mask requirement, and there are even guidelines in regards to what is an appropriate mask and what is not an appropriate mask. There was some debate early on in regards to COVID protocols on what was appropriate and not. We've mapped it out. In regards to like a face shield, not just a face shield, also have to have a face covering as well. So all of these protocols are clearly spelled out in regards to our safe return. That's labeled everywhere on our website, I would say. In regards to our students that are active with us, they have more details to tap into inside of their student portal as well, for connection points and so forth. We've done phased testing throughout the campus, staff as well. We're in phase 3 of testing, where we're just randomly selecting people. You're just like, okay, you go get tested. Don't have a rhyme or reason why, but let's go test you right now. And we're doing, it's not the super rapid testing, but within probably 48 to 72 hours, we have a result back, usually overnight, shipped out within the next day. By the day after, we usually have the results back. Knock on wood, so far doing very well, I have to say. All of our protocols seem to be doing very well in regards to trying to mitigate as much exposure as possible. But our plans are able to literally fluctuate and change based on the changing aspects of everything going on around us. If you were to look at Maine right now in regards to outbreak pieces, Southern Maine is a little bit stronger in regards to an outbreak right now. Our testing protocols are different in regards to our locations in the Southern Maine area compared to the Maine campus and the Bangor campus. So we literally adjust it based on the exact location, where it is within the state, what is the current situation going on in that area. So our plan, I have to say, really has been very well at mitigating as much as we possibly can to students, but at the same time, still trying to give them a little bit of kind of normalcy back in their college life. Nate, I think you might have addition there.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah, I was
give
gonna. Oh,
the non-COVID side.
yeah.
I was gonna give just because I think that there's like a couple realms of safety that we're going through. Jeremy's in the contemporary safety. I'll go into just the traditional campus safety. So we have campus security in Augusta and Bangor, generally from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. They're available for any sort of security concern that happens in real time, as well as, I would just like an escort to my car. It's dark at night, and I would just like to have that added level of security for my own personal safety. All of that is completely available. They're also very engaged in the safe return plan. So they're very savvy with when it comes to all the COVID precautions. As Jeremy mentioned earlier, if you need a mask, campus security and facilities and maintenance would be like who you would be reaching out to in order to get that mask so that you can access safely. But students that are attending either one of our campuses will have security on site anytime that a student is physically there that they can reach out to in real time if needed.
Nice. And just to conclude this presentation, your presentation in the Q&A portion, if either one of you wants to give a last reason why students should apply to UMA, I don't know if any of you are alum of UMA, but any last, I guess you can say last words about why they should apply.
Nate, you can go first.
So I'll keep it relatively simple, which is hard for me. So I'll try to UMA does a really great job of meeting a student where they are and helping them get to where they want to go. So a student can have that traditional college experience at UMA and engage on a college campus if that is what they so choose to. But more often, that traditional college experience, especially with technology, is changing. So some students want to access from closer to home or want to have that lifestyle of working part-time and being a part-time student. UMA does a really great job of making education fit into the windows and the areas that you still have available. So you may be a very busy 18-year-old that wants to work full or part-time. You may be a parent that has to work through education and fit it in with your schedule regarding your family lifestyle. UMA does a great job of really helping you to make education fit into your already existing life. You're not only a student, you're oftentimes many other roles too. And I would say that UMA does a great job of helping you engage with education in a way that works for you.
So UMA alum, I will definitely say that. And I came back as a returning adult student, so you're non-traditional student. And I have to say UMA was extremely beneficial in taking in and using everything that I had already done in my academic college level career and really working well to maximize it and get me closer to the finish line in sense of completing a degree out. But for our traditional students, I think what you would probably appreciate the most is the flexibility that you get with us in regards to just modality and locations and all of that. But my real big kicker is the eclectic nature that you will encounter in our classrooms. The discussion in any one of our classes is phenomenal. And it's probably because of the makeup of that class where you will encounter anywhere from 18 to 65 plus and every age in between, every background, walk of life and past job experience is sitting in that classroom with you. And me as a 38-year-old has a very different look than an 18-year-old on a lot of our topics that we cover in class. But then I have a 62-year-old on the other side of me and like, youngin, you don't know a clue. So you really will encounter a huge variety of just cross-section of people in UMA's campus and classrooms. And I think it adds way more richness to what you're actually going to truly get out of that information being relayed to you in each one of your classes. So I hope we're the right fit for you. If we're not, it's okay. But I really do want to see if we are, and reach out and just ask any and all questions, and we'll work with you if we are the right fit.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. And let's give another thanks for both of you for coming out and presenting to us today. We really do appreciate that. Um, Once again, these are their names. You have Jeremy and Nathan. Once again, thanks again. Sharing a lot of information on the mission side, the overall campus life, and as well the financial side. So thank you once again for taking this time out to be with us.
Thanks for having us. I can't stress enough, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are truly here for this process. Google us. You can find us with a quick Google of our name, and there's no question that is too silly. So please email, give us a buzz, any way you can.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks so much.
All right, student. So to continue on and with completing our campus visit is that we are going to now highlight a couple of buildings on the campus and a couple of buildings and facilities that we feel that you all would definitely want to know more about as we complete our visit here at UMA. So the first one is one of the biggest ones, and that is the Richard Randall Student Life Center. I'm sorry, the Student Center. And so this is the hub for all student activities on campus, as well as the bookstore, computer labs, and they even have the flight simulator for all of our aviation students. So if you're interested in the aviation program, the flight simulator is housed here at the Student Center. And so once again, this is the place where social life and just student interaction all kind of mix in together. And hopefully if you're a student there, you will be there getting involved with student organizations and clubs. Inside the Randall Student Center, there's also the Moose Tracks Cafe. And so this is where you can use your Moose Bucks. And so if you don't know what Moose Bucks are, this is the card, your student card that you'll receive. You're able to put money on that card. And so when you want to go in for soup, salad, sandwich, or any other item to eat, you can just swipe your card at the Moose Track Cafe, and that's how you will pay for food while you're on campus. Also in the Student Center, we have the Office of Admissions in the Welcome Center. So like they were mentioning, when it's time to go in for a live visit, you will start off at the Student Center and go to the admissions office. There's where you will be able to see the admissions counselors like the ones that presented with us today, as well as get your start off for your campus tour, financial aid, enrollment services, and other areas when it comes to the enrollment process. So it's really important for you to know exactly when you go on campus, where to go first. And that would be the Randall Student Center and as well as the admissions office. And so these are just want to show you a couple, like they've already showed you, a couple of the admission ambassadors that will be there to give you your tour guide. Next, we have a very important spot on campus, and every campus is the library. So here we have Kate's Library, where they consist of not only just a large volume of collection of books, we also have another computer lab, different quiet student areas, and group activities happen here at the library. So once again, this is a place that all of you would be spending some time in as you go through and study and read up on any of your lessons. So want to make sure you show that. Now, they mentioned earlier about the TRIO program and the Center for Student Support and Development, where and our presenters were able to give a great explanation of the program, but we also want to let you know where that is housed, and that is in the Jewett Hall. And so once again, that is where you'll be able to continue the support that Gear Up is providing for you right now, you can continue that support when it comes to the TRIO program and the Center for Student Support and Development. And so the kind of support that Gear Up is giving you now, they're going to continue that. The TRIO program, I should say, is going to continue that once you are on campus. So they're going to be there to help with mentoring, tutoring, different resources to make sure you are successful while you are at UMA. So as you're going in and doing your tour, place, if there's not part of the tour, make sure you let them know that you would like to stop by the TRIO program and hopefully speak with someone inside the office so they'll be able to give you more detailed information about all the resources they provide for you. So now we have Campus Green. So this is the large area on the campus where it's right in front of the Case Library, but this is where you have a number of events that happen, from concert speakers, even graduation ceremonies happen here on this large space. And even this space where if you just want to sit on the grass and do some reading or throw a Frisbee around, this is really another high area for student involvement and student engagement while you're on campus. And that is called the Campus Green. So if you're always into school spirit and supporting your team, well, look no further than the Augusta Civic Center. So this Augusta Civic Center is in partnership with UMA to host their basketball games, both women and men's basketball games here at the Civic Center. And while we're speaking on that, they do have, I want to share the different sports if you are interested in continuing your athletic process and going into college. Here you see that the men here at UMA, the men's have basketball, cross country, golf, and outdoor track and field. And there's the same for women as well. They also do have a club sport. They have a bowling club sport, and that's both for men and women who are interested in bowling. So that's another program if you want to continue your athletic, I guess you can say, athletic process. Just want to show you a shot of the team playing during one of their games. Now, also in the Civic Center on the bottom floor, they have the gym that is open to UMA students. And so within this facility, just like with any gym, they have treadmills, ellipticals, exercise bikes, rowing machines. They also outside have 2 basketball courts, 2 tennis courts, and as well as racquetball and different other areas for different other classrooms where they held things like yoga classes, Zumba classes, and different classes that you can sign up and be a part of. So the Civic Center, which is close to the campus, is once again housed the way for you to go and exercise, but also if you wanted to go support the UMA Moose as they compete. Last but not least, we just want to share with you, and they spoke about this really heavily, the Stevens Commons. The couple of things that we definitely want to, once again, reiterate is the fact that it is not technically right on campus. So it is a little bit off campus, but they mentioned that during the presentation by having the shuttles that are able to go back and forth. The presenters already did a great job explaining the layout of the Stevens Commons being more of an apartment style. So if that's something that you're really interested in, please make sure, like they said earlier, it is an aggressive application as far as being selected because there's only limited space. So if UMA is a school that you're interested in and you would love to live on their campus, then make sure that you jump on that application as soon as possible so you will be able to get a room in the Stevens Commons. So that concludes our campus tour, but what we wanted to do is give an opportunity for one or more of our college access coaches to address everyone at this time. Remember, these college access coaches are going to be here past these campus visits. And so I'm going to turn it over to Suzanne, who's going to talk a little bit more about the CAC, the college access coaches. Susan?
Hi there. As Gear Up Maine works with students, we help with FAFSA support and work with schools that are provided to, that are participating with us. I don't believe Marana Cook currently is. So we have to talk to these two kiddos about what they might need for support, or if they have questions, we can answer them today, but I'm not sure we'll be visiting that school. So I want to say hi, Micah. It's Mrs. Karen. If they have questions, we'd love to take them today and help them about anything. Could be filing the FAFSA, could be college applications, whatever. If they had any questions about their pursuit of secondary education, we would love to answer those today for them.
Yes, so students, just to be clear, the college access coaches are asking if you do have any questions whatsoever from what you've learned today in this process, or like she mentioned, if there are any other questions, even dealing with financial aid. At this time, you can ask those, whether you turn on your, unmute yourself and ask it over the webinar now, or if you want to put that into the chat, the question that you may have. But this is a great opportunity for you to ask any questions because you have all five college access coaches here that can answer any of those questions. So at this time, I don't think the students have any questions, but for all the students that are going to be watching this video, I'm going to continue to say this for every session. Please make sure that you reach out to your college access coaches once again, because it's going to be very important for you to connect with them and ask any questions that after watching this video, you may have things that pop up immediately. These are going to be the individuals that you should reach out to. And as usual, after your visit, you want to make sure you do go through the same exact process, which is going through and evaluating and writing that, looking over your notes and giving each college a score. I always say you should give the college a score because that's going to help you when it's time to look at all of the colleges that we visited and the colleges that you probably are going to look into outside of our series. Make sure you give them a score, and that way you're going to be able to rank them and see, okay, this is a school that had a really high ranking. Let me look at my notes. Why did I like this college so much? Why did I give them a high score? And you want to not narrow it down to about 3 or 5 schools. I always tell students, when it's time to start selecting colleges, if you have 20 colleges on your list, it's going to be extremely hard for you to make a decision. So as you're going through this process, you should be going ahead and putting them in a certain order for you, not because of what your friends say, what your family say, but what is best for you and what are the things that you liked about the school. That's going to make it easier when it's time to make that ultimate decision on which college you will attend. You want to always make sure, if you're able to, send a thank you email to the presenters that came and spoke to you. It does not have to be a drawn out letter. There could be something simple, just thanking them for taking the time out to speak with you. Once again, this is just an additional way of just showing, one, your professionalism, as well as the fact that you are really interested in the university. And guaranteed they're going to keep you on their radar, especially after getting a thank you email or letter from you as a college student. And then the last but not least, you want to continue to check with admissions. The best way to do that, especially during this time, is through email and just starting the conversation with them. I always tell students, you do not need to go in with broadcasting your GPA, test scores, or any of those things at the beginning. Let them like you first, and then you can tell them about your GPA and test scores. That's just advice that I would like to give to all the students there. So we do have a question that just popped in. It says, are there any special requirements needed to get in the aviation program? And so I would say, I do not know the answer to that. We can reach out to the admissions at UMA, but before I say that, I didn't know if any of the college access coaches would know specifically before. So I think what's going to be best is that one of our college access coaches will reach out to UMA to get the answer for you about the aviation program. So you can know that. I would say also go on their website and click on the aviation program. And I know that they have a detailed information on the website as well. And that could be, and he says, Austin, that could be a great introductory email to the admissions at UMA by sending them a thank you letter and just letting them know you want to learn more about the aviation program. That's a great introduction to connecting with the admissions counselors there at UMA. Thank you, Chris. Chris said that he will reach out to you to give you a little bit more information on that. Thank you for that, Chris. And so now, as we come to a close, we want to spotlight the different colleges that we're going to be on our next visits. As you see here, we're going to have one each Wednesday moving forward. So please, if you have not done so, write down these dates. As of right now, they're going to be on these dates, and we'll let you know if the time changes. But as of right now, the time is going to be the same. And so we look forward to seeing you at our next visit when we go to the university, well, virtually, I should say, when we go to the University of Maine at Farmington. University of Maine at Farmington. With that being said, thank you all for being a part of this, and we look forward to continue to work with you. And at this time, we want to say thank you and have a great day.